I don't know if those people are capable or not, but the atmosphere was so nice.
Peoria Public School District 150 Board of Education meeting for August 10th, 2015 to order. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Butler,
Here.
Mr. Floyd,
Here.
Mrs. Costa, Mrs. Jackson,
Here.
Mrs. Whitmire,
Here.
Mr. Atlee,
Here.
Mrs. Ross.
Here. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
we're excited to add to our agenda an important placeholder that we plan to make regular recognition at each board meeting. As a district, we have a lot of volunteers and contributors too that give a lot of their time to the district, their efforts and expertise to help our students and staff with various needs. As we often say, it takes a village to raise a child. The community, can you not hear me? Are we on? I'm sorry about that. The Community Contribution Award is just as much of an opportunity for a community to learn about the resources that exist for our families as it is to recognize the individuals or groups that will be on each board agenda. Tonight, our first recognition goes to Dr. Clifford Brown and Dr. Wayne Harkness. Both individuals work to provide a dental program for local schools and their students through the health department, paid for by federal and state grants. Dr. Brown and Dr. Harkness were both present at the Backpack Peoria event at the Dream Center a couple of weeks ago, and also a Backpack Festival event this weekend on the Peoria South Side to apply dental sealants and for students as they prepare to go back to school. So I would like to invite Dr. Brown and Dr. Harkness to the podium to speak about this program. Dr. Brown has been doing this for years. He says they currently provide dental sealants treatment to approximately 6,000 students in the Peoria area each year. But the potential is much higher. Welcome, Dr. Brown.
Hi, I'm Dr. Harkness.
You're Dr.
I'm
Harkness.
the younger one with more hair.
Okay.
Dr. Brown is the originator of the program.
Okay.
We call ourselves Dental Sealants and More, and we congratulate District 150 for recognizing the importance of good dental health. The #1 chronic disease of childhood is dental caries. Nationwide, 51 million hours of school time are lost each year due to dental disease. The students sitting in the classroom with a toothache isn't learning. And that's the purpose of our Dental Sealants and More program. We are a group of mostly retired dentists, hygienists, and assistants that uses portable equipment to practice preventive dentistry in the schools. And we would like to thank District 150, the administration, the faculty, staff, for allowing us the opportunity to provide those services within the school. We're about to begin our 17th year of in-school programs. And last year, throughout Peoria County, in addition to District 150, as you mentioned, we were able to provide exams, cleanings, sealants, and fluoride treatments for about 6,000 students. Application of sealants and annual application of fluoride has been shown to be almost 100% effective in preventing decay on permanent teeth. Several years ago, Health and Human Services, recognizing the safety and effectiveness of the sealant program, proposed a national goal of having 50% of children's teeth sealed by 2014. We're still working on it, and we thank you for your support.
Thank you. Dr. Brown?
I'm Dr. Brown, and as Dr. Harkness said, I've been doing this a long time, 17 years coming up. This program is sponsored by Healthcare and Family Services, and we just simply administrate it. It was a joy to work at the backpack thing. I commend 150 for that endeavor. When you look at all the ramifications, that's a very ambitious undertaking, and it all went well. We had our little cubicle upstairs, and they were given an opportunity just before before they left to visit our area, and many did. But we couldn't do it without the help of the principals and the school nurses, and need to thank them because they welcome us, accommodate us, support us in many ways, and we feel it makes a good program. The one issue always is that there are many more eligible that do not take advantage of it, and one of our objectives is to try to do something about that and increase the utilization. But thanks for asking us to come and make this short presentation, and maybe if anybody has any questions about it, we
Dr.
could.
Karat is on her way to you as we speak, with a token of our appreciation for what you do for our students and families in
Thank
the
you.
District 150.
Dr. Brown, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any comments? Okay, next on the agenda are announcements. Ms. Jackson.
Madam President, I'd like to do the 2015 Peoria Summer Meal Program recap. Peoria District 150 each year participates in the USDA Summer Meal Program. This program is funded by the United States Department of Agriculture and is administered by the state of Illinois. The intent of the program is to serve nutritious meals in the summer months to children 18 years of age or younger when school is not in session, and Peoria School District 150 is required to offer the program at any school where education programs are offered in the summer. This summer, Peoria School District 150 and their food service provider, Sedeco School Services, in an effort to increase the availability of nutritious meals during the summer, reached out and created summer school meal program partnerships with 18 area entities. They included the Peoria Housing Authority, the Park District, Friendship House, Salvation Army, and Get Up Community Center, and several faith-based organizations. Together, Peoria School and our partners sites served over 29,307 breakfasts and 40,218 lunches to children of Peoria. This represents an increase of over 20,000 breakfasts, 30,000 lunches we served to the children of Peoria over the previous Sunday. That's a wonderful thing that comes out for our community. And we ought to be very proud of what's happening with District 150 and their other stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? If there are no other announcements, approval of the minutes from July 2nd. Are we pulling those? It's still on the agenda. Okay.
Did we receive a copy of those minutes?
No, I think we're pulling those minutes. Mr.
We'll
Ridberg.
have them at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Next on the agenda is presentations by audience. We are now at the place on our agenda that provides an opportunity for the members of the community who wish to address the board. As you know, we are volunteers elected by you to oversee the development, implementation, and maintenance of a quality education for the students of District 150 schools. The board welcomes your comments and suggestions relating to this goal. Recognizing that we all have our First Amendment rights of free speech, we ask that your comments be focused on those issues within the board's authority. There are some issues we are not at liberty to discuss in public, such as personnel and other executive session topics. However, if you have a specific personal concern that need to be addressed, we will get a staff person to help you. In addition, board members are accessible outside of these meetings. Our phone numbers and emails are listed on the website, psd150.org. We realize that 3 minutes may not be enough time for some of you to express your thoughts, so we have installed a comment box. Last time, there were no comments in there. I'm looking for the comments in the comment box for your convenience. Our board secretary will be collecting those comments after each board meeting to compile and share with the board and superintendent. When you are recognized, please come to the podium and state your name for our records. Each speaker has 3 minutes, and no one under age 18 may address the board unless accompanied by a parent, guardian, or a teacher without the consent of the majority of the board. Our first speaker this evening is Mr. Terry Knapp. Welcome, Mr. Knapp.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd like to congratulate Dr. Crott, first of all, for being the interim superintendent. I know the district's headed in a great direction. I've talked to a lot of people, and I come in contact with a lot of people daily, and the mood in the district is well on its way to being outstanding. I gave you tonight a sheet of paper, came from this contract book that was approved in 2000, or this language was approved in 2000, and was a cornerstone of the contract. It was interest-based bargain. The administration and the teachers union sat and hashed this out, and Charlie Rose was the attorney for the district and came to the conclusion that this was the best language for moving the district forward. During the years since 2000, these meetings occurred. These are actual meetings of the Board of Education, have to be posted, official meetings of the board actually, and minutes kept. During the tenure of Ms. Wolfmeyer, 2 years went by without a meeting. I approached this podium and talked about that. It was unfortunate that those meetings went by the wayside because the teachers were turned off by the lack of interest from the board's perspective. Now, at the last meeting, I believe I detected that Ms. Wolfmeyer was appointed to be the chair of this committee. If you look on K, here I circled on the sheet of paper that I gave you, it's quite clear that the board president is to preside over those meetings, not a designee of the board president, but the board president. I'm surprised that the attorney for the district did not recognize this in the contract language, which appears on page 3. This is simply another example of not following the contract and not being aware of what's in the contract. It's very important that you maintain course and not cause arbitrations and mediations and all kinds of complaints within the contract. You're bound to follow the contract, and you need to be aware of it. All members of the board should be aware of this contract to avoid any problems and to move the district forward in a positive vein when this was actually bargained in good faith. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Sharon Cruz?
As you consider how to improve discipline, I would like to make some observations and suggestions. Discipline policy should have 2 goals. First, teachers should be allowed to use their discretion as to how much disruption is too much, when teaching and learning become impossible, and before the disruptive student has time to get others to join in the fun. Secondly, the consequences should help the disruptive students change their behaviors. Before the rules became totally out of whack, suspensions and/or expulsions were not as prevalent because being out of class carried the heavy penalty of not allowing makeup. Therefore, failure was almost a sure thing. In-school suspension is ineffective for the same reason. I believe that today's students are not allowed to fail, even when their grades are failing. A discussion on Facebook included this observation by a Manual grad who works professionally with district students. Students have received so many breaks that they and their parents are shocked when there are no more options available. Students are failing as a result of this misplaced compassion. consequences for actions are necessary. Woodruff and the Knoxville Center do not have sufficient facilities for all the disruptive students. Too many disruptive students remain to create havoc in their regular classes. Suspensions and expulsions can't be eliminated because no other options are available yet. However, time out of class isn't a consequence that poses any threat or inconvenience for students lately. Indeed, you must take suspensions, make them more, and expulsions more effective. It's obvious the current policies are not working. My suggestion is probably not practical, but students could be required to accomplish something to prove they are ready to return to class after the suspension or expulsion time is completed. Thinking up meaningful consequences certainly would not be easy. After a suspension, an apology to the teacher and the class might be sufficient. A student sent back to class after a classroom altercation often returns with a "see, I got away with it" attitude. The student should have to acknowledge culpability if any lessons are to be learned. Suspensions or expulsions could have the added requirement of successfully completing some kind of counseling or community service during the suspension or expulsion time. Counseling and peer counseling have been tried in the past as replacements for suspensions. They didn't work. Such added requirements successfully completed could provide students with a feeling of accomplishment, making something positive out of a negative. Immediate and consistent consequences will do wonders in convincing students that the district means business. Consistency and immediacy have not been policy for some time. Thank you for listening. I know this is not an easy task.
Thank you. Savino Sierra?
Sabino Sierra, 17 Way South Stanley. I hope that we can be more forceful with our discipline and our dress code. They've been too lax in these few years, and I can blame some of it onto the school board itself by not demanding that these programs be carried out better. And I'm looking forward to getting that corrected pretty soon. Also, I hope that we can have that 5-minute time so we can sound up our opinions too. Also, I against you not charging this lady that's resigned, not charging her for the classes that we paid for her so she could supposedly do the job. When she got here, she should have been qualified to do that. And so my feelings is that she shouldn't be going away scot-free as that. Also, with all this violence and that we have, I think we should arm our resource officers like they were before. And they should be able to carry their arms while they're working, because even other schools, other places, the military, they allow their personnel, if they have a weapon, to carry it, you know. And in this state, if you got a weapon, you could file to carry one. And so I don't want to hear that, oh, it's against the state rules that they can't be armed, when I think they can. And I'm looking forward to really having a vibrant school year with a lot of changes made and good ones. Excuse me. So I want to welcome our superintendent again, and I know she's going to do a good job. And you people on the board, remember what you promised, your promises you made to get elected,
Thank
and
you,
I'm
Mr.
holding
Seer.
them to you. And you people that take those trips to go learn something,
Mr.
I'd
Seer.
like for you, when you get back, you don't have to stand up and explain,
Sierra.
but I'd like you to write
Thank you
a
for your
little
comments.
essay.
Your
So,
3 minutes
yeah,
are
so
up.
we can know what happens, okay? So do that.
Feel free to submit your, rest of your comments into the comment box, okay? Thank you. Next, to Mr. Jesse McGowan, Jr.
My name is Jesse McGowan Jr., 707 East Thrush, and I'm not here to complain. Okay. I just want to say, everybody knows, most of y'all know that the kids are my passion. And I want to let Dr. Carrot know that I'm here to work with her in any capacity. I'm available 24/7, go anywhere at any time that you need me to go. And I'm also calling on all of Superintendent Latham, Dr. Latham's supporters to join me. It's going to take all of us to make this district what it should be. So we all need to get together because we need to turn a lot of things around. Our young black males are becoming an endangered species. Unless something drastic is done between the jails, the graveyard, there's not going to be a whole lot of left. So any way that I can help you, matter of fact, you'll be seeing a lot of me. I can promise you that. And so, like I said, call me anytime, day or night, and I'll be at your beck and call. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Any response to the audience comments? Yes, Ms. Wolfmeyer.
I would just like to remind everyone again that it was not a district decision to take the guns away from the SROs. It was a state decision. And although Illinois does have concealed carry, the law specifically states that you cannot carry a concealed weapon in a school building. So as of right now, we do not have a way to rearm our SROs if that's what we would want to do. I just want to keep reminding people that that right was taken away not by us, but by the state agency. And they cannot carry a concealed weapon in a school building.
Thank you. Any other response? Well, I'd like to respond to Mr. Knapp, your concern about the areas of consultation. It wasn't that we deliberately overlooked that. We were just trying to make sure that we spread out our board members to their responsibilities. But I'd be happy to sit in on those. We'll just have to get with the union, which I believe they are supposed to pull together an agenda. And so we'll try and do that together. So.
I'm sure they would love me to share it.
Thank you. Any other comments? We have information items. Proposed expenditure. Any questions on expenditures $2,500 or less? None? No questions? Report of request under the Freedom of Information Act. Dr. Carrot.
Since our last board meeting, we have received 7 new Freedom of Information Act requests, and as of today, all of them were filled. There are no pending requests. We have received 74 requests for this calendar year, and the running total amount to prepare these requests is $969.89.
Thank you. Okay, we have a purchasing policy draft. Mr. Coy.
Yes, we have, the policy committee has met several times on this issue. Financial Officer Wilcoxon has been working with us on this, and it was his draft. This is the second time we've brought this before the board, and what it does is it represents a cleanup of the process by which we make our purchases, issue purchase orders, and then approve the process, and finally make payment for those things that we've purchased. It addresses the issue of the approval process, and it sets specific amounts for each level. For example, expenditures up to $999, it's the clerical individual and the financial manager who has responsibility for that have to approve it. For expenditures between $1,000 and $2,499, it's those individuals plus the financial management supervisor. For expenditures $2,500 to $9,999, it includes the chief curriculum, financial, or legal officer, and expenditures from $10,000 to $24,999, and that would include the superintendent. Any expenditure of $25,000 and above would require the approval of the Board of Education before any purchase order is issued and before any commitments are made. It would also deal with conflicts of interest, and there's a paragraph in there that defines what a conflict of interest is, and in terms of anyone that has an interest in this through a family or other individual where they have a direct business or economic relationship must be disclosed the purchasing of the purchase to the superintendent and the CFO before we make any commitment. The reporting of purchase orders to the board, that would be done as described, and all purchase orders issues above $2,500 and below $25,000 and emergencies above $2,500 will be reported to the Board of Education as an informational item. We also, I believe, have to, there's one paragraph in here that talks about the approval of or reporting of checks, and I believe the board has to approve the checks. So that's a revision to that draft. Travel approval, all travel outside of the state of Illinois and all travel costing, I'm sorry, the use of, okay. All travel outside of the state of Illinois and all travel involving estimated expenditures exceeding $1,000, including registration, must receive Board of Education approval before any financial commitment or expenditure is made for travel, which means no tickets are purchased and no commitments are made that would encumber us with having to do something before the board has approved it. In-state travel and travel costing less than $1,000 may be approved by the superintendent. Anything involving out-of-state travel or expenditures over $1,000 require the approval by the board. Purchasing cards will be issued to each principal and other employees authorized in writing by the superintendent. There will be operating procedures developed for this, including a list of allowable purchases and prohibited purchases. Expenditures limits for P cards other than travel as outlined are $1,000 per transactions with amounts up to $2,500 allowed with supervisor approval. Monthly expenditures are limited to $5,000, and in many cases, purchasing cards have far lower limits on them. Expenditures above these amounts must be approved in writing by the superintendent and reported to the Board of Education at its next meeting. So this is for review by the board. We would like to have this in final form for the meeting on the 24th of August. I believe it addresses some of the concerns we had about our purchasing process being somewhat convoluted and putting the cart before the horse. So, Mr. Wilcoxon, would you care to add anything to those remarks?
Well, I thought you were reading my notes when you were going through that.
Well, I took your...
The only thing I would add regarding the purchasing cards, we did present this draft policy to the principals at the PD, and they had some concerns with the limits, so we've adjusted those in response to some of the concerns from principals, and so these amounts reflect what was agreed to with the principals.
Any questions or comments on this proposed policy? It's on the docket, yes.
I have some questions I'd like to ask regarding the purchases and purchasing procedures, and it's under the Illinois Human Rights Act. And I guess I'd kind of like to know who or how the school district will move forward to make sure our contractors and vendors are equal opportunity employees and hire minorities and females. We're required by law to do that. And I'm not sure I know who is supposed to do that, but have not heard anyone talk about it. So I'd like to make sure that we understand what our responsibility as a district is, following the federal and state law, because we get federal and state money. So we're required to keep track of those contractors and vendors. We can set an amount, of course, of the amount that we want to start looking at it. But also, I want to make sure that every contractor and vendor has an IDHR number, be approved by Illinois Department of Human Rights, because I don't think that many school districts think about their contractors and vendors, and we're spending a lot of money. So they should be required to recruit and hire minorities and vendors and make a good faith effort to recruit it. But we also have to monitor those contracts and make sure they're doing what we say they have to do, because we're held liable if something happens if we don't do that. So I would like us make some kind of statement in our purchasing contract as to what we expect contractors and vendors to do under the federal and state laws, and that they make every effort to hire minorities and females in their businesses. And I'm not sure who the district superintendent of purchasing is. If that's the person that does that, that's why I read that as I was reading the purchasing agreement. But I would like to know what we do to monitor that. How we, if we're not doing it, how are we going to do it? And it should be in the purchasing agreement on how we do that.
Sure. I think our supervisor of purchasing is actually here tonight, and we could introduce him. Matt? There he is. Matt Fogelmark, who's been on the job for probably a month or so, so I think he heard your message loud and clear. Typically, you would put this in, when it goes out for bid, you would put it in there that minority, female, and disabled vendors are encouraged to apply. One of the things I've done in previous lives is we've had vendor fairs and tried to recruit minority vendors or MAFB vendors to basically register with the district and be on vendor lists, so if we have certain things. Truthfully, though, we're not doing a lot of purchasing outside of construction projects. That would be probably the most largest area where we're actually doing those things. A lot of the things we're buying are educational supplies, utilities, those kinds of things. So I heard you loud and clear, and we will.
Those companies, those vendors, even if they're not contractors, they still have to comply with the law. We have to require them to make a good faith effort to hire minorities and females in their organization. I want to make sure we do that. And who's supposed to keep track of all of that and where it is.
Any other questions?
I'm in response to that, and then Reverend Butler has a question, but there's also, for any competitive bidding, prior to the initiation, I'm reading from here, prior to the initiation of the competitive bidding process, the Board of Education will be advised of and vote to authorize the planned competitive bidding process prior to the initiation of the bidding process. All bidding must be in compliance with the Illinois School Code. So, and it goes on from there. That may be a place where we would amend that to address those concerns. And I think it also gives us an opportunity to look at any requests for proposals or requests for quotes as part of the bidding process to note that if that was included in the requirements of the bidding package. So the board does have an opportunity on a case-by-case basis as well as in a procedural manner to address that. So
thank you.
That's noted, and I've got some notes here.
Reverend Butler?
Yes. Mr. Wilcoxon, what are the points of this draft that differ from what was already the procedural process? What stands out as something different or changed in this draft policy?
Sure. I think the current policy has some holes in it, as was noted at a previous board meeting, that expenditures can be made by the district without a significant obligation coming before the board. So I think it closes that loophole. I think that it also clarifies, Mr. Cloyd and I looked through the board regs trying to find where the board is required to approve travel, and we couldn't find that. So this clarifies travel. It clarifies procedures for P cards and basically lays out the purchasing process for regular goods and services too.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
So I think what we'll do is take these comments back. Mr. Wilcoxon and Ms. Costick, who's another member of the policy committee, we'll try and get together before the next board meeting, make sure that that's all cleaned up, and then try and bring it back for approval on the 24th, if everyone's okay with that. So, okay, thank you.
Action items, you're on again, consent agenda.
Oh, yes, okay. All right. Items on the consent agenda. Item number 1, gifts to the school district. This meeting totaled $2,409.60. Year-to-date, $4,200.70. Proposed action is that the donations be accepted and letters of appreciation sent to the donors for STEM products and programs valued at $500 from Garmina Agarwal to Charter Primary School. A Manna refrigerator valued at $400 by Renee and David Gregory to Mark Bills. Snack wing certificates valued at $1,509 by Buffalo Wild Wings to Mark Bills Schools, and we thank you for those contributions. Item number 2, payment of bills. Item number 3, the Human Resources Report. The proposed action is the appointment, employment, compensation, performance, resignation, retirement, or discharge of an employee. Item number 4, payment for travel. Item number 5, board travel request. The proposed action is that the Board of Education approve the following expenditures for board travels. Ernestine Jackson and Dan Adler and Board Secretary Daphne Dixon to travel to attend the IASB, IASBO, IASA 83rd Joint Conference in Chicago, Illinois, November 20th through November 22nd of 2015 at a total cost of $3,685.35. And Martha Ross to attend the NASBE Annual Conference in Washington, D.C., November 20th through November 22nd at a total cost of $1,385. Item number 6, the 2015-16 Memorandum of Understanding, Local Number 70, Woodruff Career and Technical Center. Proposed action is that the Board of Education approve the attached Memorandum of Understanding between the Board of Education, Peoria Public School District 150, and the Peoria Federation of Teachers, IFT, AFT, AFL-CIO, Local 780, to amend the current collective bargaining agreement between the parties as related to Woodruff Career and Technical Center. This agreement revising language of the 2014-15 WCTC MOU expiring on June 30, 2015 will be in effect from July 1, 2015 until June 30, 2016 and is made in response to the creation of WCTC as a result of the closure of Peoria Alternative High School, Greeley Alternative, and the Transition to Success programs. Item number 7, 2015-16 Memorandum of Understanding, Local Number 780, Treewind School. Proposed action is that the Board of Education approve the attached Memorandum of Understanding renewal between the Board of Education, Peoria Public School District Number 150, and the Peoria Federation of Teachers, IFT, AFT, AFL-CIO, Local 780, to amend the current collective bargaining agreement between the parties as related to Treewind School. This agreement, replicating the current Treewind MOU expiring on June 30, 2015, will be in effect from July 1, 2015 until June 30, 2016, and is made in response to the provisions of the No Child Left Behind Act, Illinois School Code, and an Illinois Administrative Code, which, due to Treewind School's failure to make adequate yearly progress for 5 consecutive years, requires the district and school to undergo program changes. Item number 8, Easter Seals Board Certified Behavioral Analyst, BCBA contract. Proposed action is that the administration be authorized to enter into a contract with Easter Seals to secure board-certified behavioral analyst services for students with special needs across the district during the 2015-16 school year. The anticipated expenditure requested for authorization will not exceed $86,400 unless IEP requirements necessitate service increase and the expenditure is approved by the Peoria Public School Board of Education. This agreement is funded through the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act grant. Item number 9, Children's Home Behavioral Health Therapist Contract. The proposed action is that the Board of Education approve a contract with the Children's Home for the 2015-16 school year to provide 3 full-time behavioral health therapists to serve students at Whittier, Treewind Day Treatment, and Roosevelt, and other schools as determined appropriate by the administration. This agreement is funded through the Education Fund. The district will pay a total of $53,000 and $83 annually for each behavioral health therapist. Although each therapist costs the children's home approximately $73,726 annually, the behavior health therapist will bill Medicaid directly for children who qualify. The children's home estimates that 28% of the cost of each therapist will be reimbursed through Medicaid. Item number 10, FY 2016 contract between Dr. Andrew Morgan and School District 150. The proposed action is that the Board of Education authorize a mutual agreement between Dr. Andrew Morgan and District 150 for the 2015-16 school year to work with our physical and occupational therapists and write prescriptions for physical and occupational therapy at a cost not to exceed $5,000. This agreement will allow the district to remain in compliance with the Illinois PT and OT Practice Act, as well as enable the district to bill Medicaid for services. This agreement will guarantee 2 clinics with students, families, and staff members, as well as professional development from Dr. Morgan on topics for staff related to serving students with disabilities. This agreement will be funded through the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act grant. Item number 11, 2016 OSF tutoring contract renewal. Proposed action is that the administration be authorized to renew an agreement with OSF St. Francis Medical Center for the provision of hospital tutoring services during the 2015-16 school year. OSF will pay the district a total of $90,701.36, which covers the cost of the teacher and a teacher's aide salary and benefits, as well as an annual audit fee. By the end of the 2015-16 school year, the district will reimburse OSF St. Francis an amount equal to the percentage of the fee attributable to the services performed for District 150 enrolled students. Item number 12, FY16 Unity Point Health Methodist Health Hospital tutoring contract renewal. Proposed action is that the administration be authorized to renew an agreement with Unity Point Methodist Hospital for the provision of hospital tutoring services during the 2015-16 school year. Unity Point Health Methodist Hospital will pay the district a total of $78,800.90, which covers the cost of the teacher's salary and benefits, as well as an annual audit fee. By the end of the 2015-16 school year, the district will reimburse the hospital for the amount equal to the percentage of the fee attributable to the services provided for District 150 enrolled students. Item number 13, the Center for Prevention of Abuse Aaron's Law Mandate Program Plan and Budget 2015-16. The proposed action is that the Board of Education enter into a contract with the Center for Prevention of Abuse for the 2015-16 school year to enable the district to meet the mandate under Illinois' Aaron Law. This agreement will continue the Keeping My Body Safe program in all District 150 schools. The Center for Prevention of Abuse will bring a variety of activities to the district, including age-appropriate classroom presentations to all grades K through 12. The cost to the district for this program is $8,000. The total cost of the program is $86,000, with the remainder being paid by a variety of grants and partner donors. These are listed in the supporting materials. Item number 14, administrative pay increase and contract approval as corrected. The proposed action is that the Board of Education approve pay increases and contracts for administrative personnel for the 2015-16 school year, retroactive to July 1, 2015, in the amount of $115,882 for 89 employees, with the average percentage increase of 1.75%. This is typically less than other collective bargaining units. Item number 15, approval of intergovernmental agreement with the City of Peoria for the purpose of placing three City of Peoria school resource officers at Peoria High, Manual Academy, and Richwoods High School for the 2015-16 school year. Proposed action is that the Board of Education approve the intergovernmental agreement for the purpose of placing city police officers, school resource officers, at Peoria High, Manual Academy, and Richwoods High School, a total of 3 officers, to enhance a safe and secure educational environment in the schools. The hourly rate to be paid to the city is unchanged from last year, $47.01 per hour. Officers will be expected to be present in the buildings on all 174 student attendance days from 7 a.m. until 3 p.m. The total cost to the district is $196,300. Item number 16, contract with Carl Cannon for elite program at Lincoln K-8 School. Proposed action is that the Board of Education approve the proposed license and operating agreement by and between Carl Cannon and the Board of Education of Peoria School District 150. Item number 17, approval of separation agreement with Dr. LaToya Kennedy. The proposed action is that the board approve the separation agreement with Dr. LaToya Kennedy. And that concludes the consent agenda, Madam President.
Thank you. Are there any items that a board member would like to pull for a separate vote?
Number 5, the board travel request.
Number 5,
Number 4.
number 4. Any others?
Madam President, number 16.
16. Okay,
And my reason for that is that I will abstain on that vote.
okay. With the exception of numbers 5, 4, and 16, can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions on any of the, discussion or questions on any of the other consent agenda items?
I would raise a couple of questions. Dr. Karat, if you have the background to explain it, just the reason for the MOUs at Woodruff and Trewin, and what the background on that is, just briefly, so that we have a sort of framework for that.
It's actually a continuation of last year's MOU with the city. And actually, it's a reduced cost. The proposal is 3 officers versus 4.
I was talking about the MOU with Local 780, I'm sorry. I didn't make that clear. So, those are the MOUs relating to the Woodruff and Trewin with teachers.
Number 6.
So it's, again, a continuation of past practice, again, at a reduced cost. So Woodruff, because it's a unique school, there's a memorandum of understanding to provide additional professional development training to staff before school starts.
Okay.
So last year, they were approved to provide 30 hours, and this year it's 10 hours.
Okay.
In addition to that, there's an incentive, $2,500 per certified staff as a recruitment incentive to work at that building. It's the same thing for Trewin. Trewin, they did have an additional professional development, 30 hours of that last year, and that was eliminated this year. So their hours are 0. Their MOU pretty much covers just the incentive, the $2,500 per staff member. And Peoria High has one pending, but it's not, it was pulled, I pulled it from the agenda. There needs to be clarification on item 4 and 11. We need to get back with the union and have a discussion about that. But those two are really for, again, providing additional professional development hours and training for staff before school starts. So
Okay.
it's a longer, sort of a longer year for them. And then the incentive. Woodruff and Trewin, those staff members do receive an additional incentive to work at the building.
Okay, thank you. And then, and maybe just to clarify, with the OSF and the Unity Point programs, in both instances, we receive payment from them, and then we reimburse them for the amount of that has been used, equal to the amount that was applied only to District 150 students.
That's right. So we provide the teacher, and they pay us for the teacher. And we refer kids to them, and then they bill us for the number of children that way. Because a number of schools, not only District 150, but a variety of schools also utilize the services from that teacher.
Right.
And
So our net cost is lower than those amounts in both cases?
that's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
I just wanted to mention that the two that you just mentioned with OSF and Methodist, and most of these contracts that we have on here tonight are all continuations. There's something that we do every year for services for our children, but they just have to be renewed every year. So it isn't like these are all new contracts that we've never seen before. Thank you.
Mr. Redburn.
Add one comment.
Maureen Langhoff, our special education director, noticed in the application, particularly with the OSF contract in the last year, that the previous contract provided for a 50-50 sharing on the costs, but Maureen determined that the percentage, the number of students that District 150 was providing to that program was something like 20 or 25%, much substantially less. So we were kind of, it was not a good bargain for us. So we've adjusted that this year so that, and again, at the beginning of the year, we don't know what percentage of the total students served will be District 150 students, but we'll true that up at the end of the year and pay only for the actual number of 150 students served.
Any other comments? Questions? Call the roll for all the items except 4, 5, and 16.
3, 4, 16.
It was 3.
You asked for 3, didn't you?
No, I asked for 5.
4, 5, and 16.
4, 5, 16.
4, 5, okay. I wrote down.
Okay.
Mrs. Butler?
We have a motion.
You have a
and
motion?
second.
Okay,
Just a
okay.
question.
Aye.
Mr. Floyd?
Aye.
Mrs. Jackson?
Aye.
Mrs. Wolfmeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Adler?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
6 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you. Item number 4. I believe you pulled that one, Reverend Butler.
No, I was really looking on number 3, but everyone else had, that I put down 5, but I thought I had put down 3.
Okay.
So.
I've motioned in a second for any other questions on number 4? Motion in a second on number 4. Payment of charge.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mrs. Butler?
No.
Mr. Floyd?
Aye.
Mrs. Jackson?
Aye.
Mrs. Wolfmeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Adler?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye. Item number 5.
I have a question. I'm sorry, Mrs. Butler. Mrs. Reverend Butler?
Yeah.
Did you say aye or nay?
Nay.
Okay.
No problem. Item number 5, board travel.
That was me.
Right.
And I am not going to support this tonight, but I want to explain why.
Okay.
It is not a reflection on the board members asking to go to the conferences to travel, and it's not questioning the value of those trips. I understand that, and I've been on those trips where they were a valuable experience, but very simply with the financial crisis that we're having and the deficit we're facing, I've been very vocal in asking to have the education fund travel pared back as far as we possibly can, and I just feel that we need to do that across the board. So that's why I won't be supporting this tonight, but like I said, it's not a reflection on those who want to travel. I've been there, and there is value to that, but it's strictly because of the budgetary situation.
Any other comments?
I will just comment that I had reservations about, making any sort of travel expenditure as well. After talking it over with Mrs. Ross and some other board members, the opportunity to get the benchmark experience and perspective from other boards across the state, I think it's a pretty good use of funds even in very tight times. So that's why I'll support it.
Ms. Jackson?
I also had the same reservations because I am one that, number one, don't like to travel a whole lot, but aside from that, one of the things I had concerns about was the amount of money we used to travel, and waited for a very long time before deciding to do it and talked to a whole bunch of people, and still am on the fence even about going. But I think that this is the one that I'll go to because it means networking and meeting other people that are in positions like mine, and it won't be something that I will be doing.
Okay. Any other comments? I do want to make a comment. The state, not required, but they encourage board members come from all walks of life. And the state really, they tried to mandate from the Senate's floor, mandate that board members have training, real professional development. And, but it's encouraged at this time. And the fact that the board has always had, which most people don't know, a small budget, because we don't get paid, we don't get a stipend or anything. The professional development and the meal whenever we meet, which is, usually provided by the school district, by the culinary people here at the school district at no cost to us. We have a small budget, and we are cognizant about staying within our budget. I'm not exactly sure how much it is, maybe $15,000 or $20,000 for the whole year for 7 people. And so we are cognizant to stay within our budget, but still try and expose ourselves to how things are done in other areas. We have unique opportunities to meet with other people. As you know, when you're going to these conferences, your largest benefit is networking with other people and bringing back things. I have gone to conferences before, and that's how we started the committee as a whole, learning how to do that somewhere else and bringing it back. We started the committee as a whole. We started the dashboard. We started several things that we didn't know about, didn't have the expertise on, like the parent university. Once I went to a conference in Atlanta, came back to help start up the parent university here in Peoria. So we benefit from the training because, as I said, we're elected from all walks of life, and we don't necessarily know a lot about education. In order for us to make good decisions, we need to learn from others that's already been doing it. So that's kind of the statement that I would have on that. So I would be supporting it. Any other comments or questions? Madam, did we get a first?
Yeah, there was a motion.
Yeah, okay. Would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Butler?
Nay.
Mr. Floyd?
Aye.
Mrs. Jackson?
Aye.
Mrs. Wolfmeyer?
No.
Mr. Adler?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
4 ayes, 2 nays, motion carries.
And number 16, may we have a motion and a second so that we can have discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Cloyd, I believe that was one that you wanted to
Yes,
pull.
I'm just abstaining for family reasons, involvement as a volunteer.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments on?
I had a question.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Butler.
I would ask if Dr. Karat would share with us her recommendation for this program and it going to Lincoln Grade School. That the program, we've had a lot of discussion about this program.
Right.
And its future with the district. A decision has been made, and that's that the program stays and go to Lincoln Grade School. And this is at your recommendation. If you would just say a little bit more why the program will be going to Lincoln.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you. And I see Officer Cannon, in our presence today. I've spoken to each board member individually and came to the conclusion that there's value with this program. There's a lot of talk about behavior and discipline and focusing on the whole child. So what we've decided to do overall is reduce it from, in the past, last year, for example, Elite was located at Trewin and also at Harrison. And when we look at our data and the changes that, and the building with the most need, and also understanding our budgetary situation, we decided, looking at the data, that Lincoln as a middle school would benefit the most. And so far, that decision has proven to be a very good one. Officer Cannon and his team are having great conversations with the new principal. They have a great plan for the school year. So I'm excited about Elite working with the staff and the families at Lincoln for better results as it relates to that social emotional side. And it was again based on need.
One of the issues surrounding the decision for the future of that program was based on making sure that we would have data. Has anything, or is there anything in place as relates to Lincoln in specific as it begins the program now? And next year when we would look at, again, programs that are helpful to the students that you will or someone will be keeping data to help us to make that informed decision again next year.
Elite has always had great data.
I'm saying in regards to Lincoln, though.
There are matrix in place, and so yes, we'll have that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Jackson.
I'm pleased to see us moving in the direction of dealing with discipline. That was one of the issues that, as I moved around over the year, people had some real concerns about the discipline in this district. And it wasn't just one person, it was a lot of people. And we've got to get a handle on that. And I'm hoping that this is the beginning of this program and other programs to begin to hold people accountable for their actions, not only within our school, but they carry that into the homes. So I'm hopeful that we now can begin to really talk about dealing with this whole issue of making sure all of our kids can be in a classroom and get a good academic experience. And that's what I want for the district.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah.
I do want to,
The focus on the child, the whole child, is really important. So Elite is just one piece. There are a variety of other strategies that we're going to use. Social emotional is going to be a huge focus for us as a district, and Elite is just one piece. A number of schools are using a variety of initiatives like restorative justice, and there's some schools using something called BIST, which is really an interesting approach at Peoria High and a variety of other schools. You have Second Step, you have PBIS, and we're going to, and I appreciated Mrs. Cruz's comments this evening, but we're going to be really focused and targeted regarding connecting the dots and providing more support for staff. And again, Elite, it's just one piece, but it's also a valuable piece.
now I want to say, in light of what we received from the state, Senate Bill 100, you can probably pick that up or look on the internet, but it essentially talks about we're pretty much required to have a parent-teacher advisory committee. I chaired that committee for a number of years, and some of you sat on that committee as well. And that committee had their charge from the state to manage or develop some type of discipline policy along with the consequences to breaking these policies. And so this new one that just came out basically says that we must discuss bullying prevention. The committee must meet annually, which we usually meet, I believe, monthly. And Reverend Butler, and who else is on that committee with you? Mrs. Jackson is on that committee, which we will be looking at what the state wants us to do, which is what we're already trying to do, is get out ahead of some of these things related to discipline. Assist with the development of pupil discipline, including, searches. The school districts are encouraged to create a memorandum of understanding with law enforcement agencies. School boards may not institute zero tolerance. And so they're telling us that we can't have zero tolerance, so we have to have something in our schools that's going to provide a stabilization of these discipline problems, because we can't just put them out. And the school officials shall limit the use of expulsions and suspensions. Right now, a student can be expelled, and it's pretty much a year expulsion. So we have to get more clarification on what it means by limit expulsions and suspensions. So if we can prevent some of these things, and that's just a short version of what they're requiring us to do. And I've passed this on to the committee to start looking at addressing these kinds of things.
Has this been passed yet, or is this signed into law yet? Or is
I'm
this-
not sure if it's passed, but I got this.
It hasn't.
It
It's
hasn't
close,
passed, it's
though.
being proposed. But what has passed is in the statute that we must have a parent-teacher advisory
Right.
committee that develops, the policies and procedures for discipline.
When I read through that outline this evening, it struck me a couple things. One of them is that it actually makes it more difficult to pursue some of the issues in a timely fashion when you have disruptive behavior. And it also greatly adds an administrative burden in every instance. And this, while it may be well-intended, this is another unfunded mandate by the state of Illinois.
True.
And at some point, the logical extension of this is you can't do anything about anybody, anywhere, anytime, and that just does not make any sense. And if that's the policy of the state of Illinois, then they are asking school districts to abandon their responsibilities to see that at least the students who want to learn have an atmosphere in which they can.
Which, in my opinion, is why we put measures in place to prevent some of these things and to address them before they become major problems, such as elite. And I also wanted to mention that one of the things that the board had talked about and had been presented was that the elite program would find funding to continue some form of programming at Harrison. And I believe they're underway to do that. But tonight, we are looking at the contract for Lincoln. So, did we get a motion in a second? I always forget.
Yeah, you did.
Would you please call the roll, Madam Secretary? Mr.
Aye.
Abstain.
Mrs. Jackson?
Aye.
Mrs. Wolfmeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Adler?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
5 ayes, 1 abstain. Motion carried.
Thank you. Okay, we've, presentation and suggestion by board members. Presentations of suggestions by board members? No? Seeing none? Reports from board committees. I don't believe that any committees have met yet. I imagine after school start, we will have, some discipline committees and that kind of thing, and everybody is setting that up.
Just in terms of the policy committee, we're trying to get back together before the next board meeting so that we can clean up the purchasing policy document and possibly bring one other policy issue as a first reading to the board next time. And there's several of those that are pending, so we'll just see how much progress we can make. But we are working through the list of issues.
And as you know, any of our committees, all of our committees are open committees, open due to the Open Meetings Act, so they will be listed and 48 hours before the meeting, at least 48 hours before the meeting, and anyone is welcome to attend those meetings that we have, board committee meetings. Is there anything else for the good of the business of District 150? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Usually we don't call a roll on that one.